Went in now.
Okay, and.
Get your issues all figured out. I'll take that as a no.
I think I have. Let me just check.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay, I have it ready to go. Sorry for the delay.
All right, good morning. Today is Tuesday, October 4th, 2022. The time is now 9:02. I'm Kevin Day, Chair of the Custer County Board of Commissioners, and I will call this meeting of the board to order. If you do have cell phones, please silence them at this time. And if you would please join me in the pledge. Mr. Kent.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, can we get a roll call?
Kevin Day,
Present.
Tom Flower,
Present.
Bill Kanda,
Here.
Clint
Smith. Present.
And then I am the recorder for today, and I'm Jennifer Creed for the record.
Okay, audience introductions. We have one here in the room.
Jamie Day Wetmore.
All right, I don't see any online, so. Again, if somebody goes to speak later, if they'd ID themselves for the record, that would be great. Amendments to the agenda.
Do have some amendments of time. We want, we have some people that are not going to be attending, so I have finance coming in at 9:15. Planning and zoning will be coming in around 9:30, and then the extension office down at 9:45. And then if the veteran PSO, if Jared is available, done with servicing, serving, helping a vet, then he will come in to give his report, but everybody else has their reports in.
Okay, so you had 9:15 for finance, you had 9:30 for planning and zoning.
9:30 for planning and zoning, 9:45 for extension. And then road and bridge will not be here. They have sent their report, and Jared with the DSO, he's going to do what he can to get here before the end of the meeting, but we have his report as well.
Thank you. Is that agreeable with you gentlemen?
Certainly.
Did we get road and bridges?
Yeah.
report?
It's in the package.
Yeah, it's in the packet.
I would move that we make the aforementioned changes in the reports as stated.
Second.
Motion on the floor then to change our order of our reports as stated. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Hi,
Aye.
Okay. Any other amendments to the agenda?
I am prepared to introduce a motion to add discussion of the federal lawsuit unless you're prepared to give us an update.
I can give an update. It's not much, but I can
We'll do that during commissioner items and
do that.
then
Okay, we have no minutes. So commissioner items. Commissioner Flower.
thank you. I prefer to have you gentlemen go first if you don't mind. Hear what you have to say.
Commissioner Kanda.
yeah, I don't have a lot in the last meeting. We all received a bunch of pictures from a guy named, just wrote it down, I can't find it.
He's a
On the road.
he's a state employee out of Penrose.
Yeah, is that who it is? I've got him down here. Anyway, I don't know why he did that particularly because they're not done. It's not asphalting the road. We're blocking it up ready for a seal coat. Is that what they're gonna do? Yeah.
No,
Later.
that is, they went in and blade patched.
Yeah.
Because we aren't.
That's what I meant. They patched it.
So these were blade patches. One picture he took was right at the end of a patch where it broke out some.
Right.
That stuff had been raked off to the edge of the road. Where he took that picture, there was right at the end of a couple of patches, there was some that pulled out.
Did you reply to him or anything?
I have not responded yet.
You know, sometimes they don't understand what we're doing, but this guy probably does, it sounds like.
So I can reach back out to him.
Because then
And see,
later,
because I'm not sure what the issue is, because the bulk of that patch now, that whole road looks pretty darn good, I thought. I already drove it.
well, and that's, we've done it out here in the bottom of the valley and all over the place, and then later chip seal it. And that's the whole point. You can't asphalt the road. Not in this budget area. Also, we closed out the skid loader. We got reimbursed for it, $9,600. And we're good with that. And the maintenance on the AWAS was reimbursed for the $3,900. So doing well there. And that's all I have for now.
Okay. And I will go next. And basically then, I will give an update on that. I had got a hold of, Mr. McCletchy in regards to the requirement for the being vaccinated and our wishes that if this judge did not want to waive that requirement, that he look for another. And he had suggested that, I think you guys were all copied on that email, that he would had a suggestion of another mediator that he would check with and would get back to us. I have not seen anything back from him thus far on that.
Yeah, we wanted to meet in person.
Yes, I
For the
did
vaccination.
tell him that, and he did state that he would check for another mediator if this one would not waive that requirement. And if you did not get copied on that email, let me know and I will send that to you.
Yeah, I think we did.
I got it.
It sounded like McCletchy thought everybody was going to probably have that same vaccination requirement. Huh?
He did not state that.
Oh, I thought I read that.
Um,
Of course, with this email thing, who knows what I read, where I read it, who it was from, who it was to. And I know I'm the only one struggling with the whole.
Yeah, he sent his reply on the September 30th at 9 AM.
thing. I must have filed it. Yeah, I thought I read where he said that he believed everybody was gonna have that same
May have been how you
vaccination
read his first
requirement.
email.
Or,
It may have been how you read his first email.
Yeah, his first email said on the 28th, he said, it looks like we're gonna have to do it, and we pushed back and he didn't do it.
yeah,
But after he said he would explore another option, he has not responded back yet, so I'm assuming he has not heard back.
and is the 20th still the date that
He did
he
point out,
said to hold the 20th? Was actually,
I believe so, yes.
he came back just on the 30th and said another options and magistrate judge assigned to the case.
Yeah, he had already stated the dates.
He gave us a bunch of choices. Remember which one?
Okay, I do see the email that you're referring to, Tom.
okay, I'm all good because I can't find it.
So the 20th is the possible date for mediation at this point?
That's the
Okay,
last
I didn't
I
see that.
heard.
Is that October?
Yes.
I haven't seen that.
So I have not seen that other email, so that you were referring to. I do see it now.
Can you read that? I can't find, I filed it in the lawsuit file now.
Because there is no mask requirement, there is a vaccination requirement. I'm not aware of any mediators without one. The two biggest services, JAMS and JAG. Have this requirement. He doesn't understand or agree with the requirement, but it is what it is. You can look into others, but I think it's very important to have an early mediation, and we have this one on the books for 10/20. I think we can all
Yeah,
be together in Custer County and attend by Zoom, so I have not seen that email. So. My apologies for
no,
that.
that's all right. I'm just-
It got put into the string, hidden string on this new email, so.
Yeah, that's what I'm struggling with.
So. I guess my question would be to you gentlemen in regards to that.
Yeah, I see the last one on Wednesday.
Would you guys? It looks like we will need to go Zoom regardless of who we go with.
I don't know why we're doing it.
Mhm.
And he was willing to come down here. McCletchy was, or
Yes.
Yep. I'm good with it. Won't need to. Well,
I'm sure not gonna go get vaccinated just to go.
Well, that would be a full vaccination anyway.
I'll sell my vaccination card to the highest bidder.
I'll give you $2 for it. I can buy them online for $1, so.
I gave all that up after I got 21. So would you gentlemen like me to respond back to him then on that?
say we'll do it.
Go ahead and move forward.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
I will do that a little later today then and let you gentlemen know. My apologies for not seeing that email. That would be all I have then.
Oh, boy. Well, I'm hoping we can have an opportunity to talk to our finance person about budget hearings, so we can get that scheduled pretty firm next week, because I got some other things that I'm trying to get on my calendar and I've held them off. And then, yesterday I came in, spent some time in the office, and then I also attended the Planning Commission meeting. They heard a couple of short-term rental applications and had some other business. I wonder if we shouldn't maybe schedule another workshop at some point. There was a question brought up, and I think is valid. What the long-term goal and plan is for short-term rentals for our county. Are we going to continue to maximum approve 8 every year in perpetuity, or are we going to, and we did talk about capping the number of short-term rentals allowed in the county. I think that's one of the conversations that we need to have. We also need to probably have a discussion about seating the BZA with at least 3. Their resolution calls for 3 to 5 members. They have 2. They're capable of putting an alternate from the Planning Commission on there in the event they need to meet in case of an appeal. But
What's the process? They're supposed to be able to do that. That's part of the resolution. They have to do it. How,
yeah,
why haven't they done it?
it's in the resolution, but
We can't
it's a
change it.
little ambiguous.
That they have to get a board member appointed when they're short.
If it talks about filling a permanent seated vacancy with a alternate from the Planning Commission. But it also talks about the Board of County Commissioners appointing new members to the BZA. The issue is, and we talked about it yesterday, the issue right now, doesn't mean it's always going to be, but is to try to have a BZA seated that has not already listened to a Planning Commission agenda item during an appeals process.
Right, otherwise not independent.
That's right. And so right now they have a member of the PC that they could move on to the BZA if they have a near-term appeal. But I think we should have a full seated 3 board BZA. That's my opinion. Clint, you No way in on that, or,
Well, this is commissioner item. We can put that on for a discussion, Tom, is what we should do.
that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
That's why I brought it up.
I think we should have one based on the discussion we had on the short-term rental before. I mentioned that in the meeting. We probably do need to discuss clarifying a few things. And the BZA is an important one. And I don't understand why, is it our job to appoint them? If it is, then we gotta take the bull by the horns and say we go do it.
You know,
And
There's-
get the people applying for it.
again, there's different languages, and there's one statement says if we can request the chairman to make recommendations to us, but that's pertaining to filling a seat with a alternate.
Yeah, that's right, because that's for an emergency, because it's not filled out.
But for filling a seat, we have the authority to appoint someone to fill a seat on the BZA, so.
We got
I
time to
don't-
put it on the agenda for tomorrow to discuss it. We can do that and then come up with a time.
Yeah,
The actual action would be, we have to advertise for a vacancy on the BZA.
yeah, I think we need to work with the planning commission and the
Sure.
planning and zoning director. I believe she's actively trying to find candidates
To
to
recommend.
fill that seat, to make a recommendation to us to appoint them.
So
That's the right process.
can we let that go ahead and play out then?
We could.
I think we should.
I just think it's incumbent upon us to make sure we have a full seated BZA all the time.
Do you want that on the agenda for tomorrow, discussion about BZA
When does Dorothy come in, today or tomorrow?
today?
So we could ask her.
We just do it and talk about it.
See what she's.
We do have a process. It's real. And she's just brand new. It's time to get a BZA person. She just figured it out and she's doing it. And we advertise it. So,
Maybe we talk
What
to
I'm
her
hearing
today.
is we might be able to visit with her a little bit during her report today. I think it may be premature to put it on the agenda, and
Yeah.
if she's already actively trying to find candidates, we might let that play out before we.
Okay,
the only reason we put it on, like we said, would be if there's nothing happening right now and she's doing her job.
Um,
Yeah.
I would ask the question, I guess. Are we,
Here she is, just in
are
the.
we supposed to be, as commissioners, attending those meetings or not?
No, we don't have to, no.
I mean, like
Certainly
yesterday.
can.
Okay, I was under the impression we were not supposed to be.
I
attending
don't
those
think we
meetings.
should.
Well, that's up to you, as long as you're just. Not participating at all, just listening to the presentation. There's not a problem with that as far as I'm concerned. It used to be, when I first started as county attorney, that the BOCC would sit in there, and as soon as the planning commission had heard a presentation, they'd make their vote on what the recommendation was gonna be, and the BOCC would act on it right then.
Wow.
We split that up, so
It shouldn't be that way.
no, I shouldn't do that.
I'm pretty hard over on, we shouldn't be there at all because it stifles, in my view, free discussion because we got to have an equal opportunity to listen to the actual arguments after the fact, or let them come up with options and talk about
Well, and the
why.
thing that was addressed was the importance of each member of the planning commission stating, the basis for his or her vote on things. So you need to have that information so you know what
Sure.
led to the recommendation.
Sure.
But I don't think there's anything prohibiting the commissioners from sitting and listening to it. It's up, to you, each of you individually. There's not any prohibition about it.
Yeah, I think I voiced this before. To me, it's an information gathering and a knowledge base effort on my part. We talked about it at on the last agenda item. Did we have enough information to make a knowledgeable assessment and decision on whether to accept something or not? If we're not willing to take the planning commission's recommendations face value, then I personally feel like I need more information than I'm getting. That's why I will Well, I'll continue, Bill. Certainly, I didn't feel it was appropriate to engage in any public comment during the presentations or their agenda items. I did ask them a couple questions at the end of the meeting, but that was after everybody was gone. They had gone through their agenda, so.
But nothing, I agree, there's nothing stopping us from talking to the planning commission chairman after the fact to get some other information if we want to. That's fair game.
Clint did request of them that they do a roll call vote and justify their vote, so we had a little more information to go on. I don't know that we'll ever see that unless we listen to the audio, because
I
will
think
that be on the,
I noted everything and I'm summarizing both,
so that would come in a packet.
working on it this morning.
Yeah,
Okay.
because there will be two recommendations coming in as a result of yesterday's meeting.
One of them is already, Mr. Weber pulled his application.
Yeah.
I just got off the phone with him.
Right.
So very sad. For you.
All right. Anything else, sir?
yes, I do have. You were the designee for the ARPA funding
Yes.
and working with Virginia. I guess my question is, who has access to that portal?
I don't know that you have acquired access, have you? To the, okay, so it was
You and Tina.
Dorothy and Virginia and myself. I
It was mainly Virginia and she would usually sign in and I'd go in and do from her desk what I needed to do.
So I talked to
Her and I would do
Virginia,
it
she's
together.
got a login and a password for that US Treasury portal. I'm assuming it's still active and valid. I don't know.
I believe so, yes.
Did you see the email concerning the local assistance and tribal consistency fund?
I believe so, yes.
So I spent a good part of the day yesterday trying to research all that. Are you aware we're in line for some money?
No, I was not.
$1 million and like that or something close.
So I would encourage you to
But I heard
investigate that email a little bit. The original email we got was from John Swartout.
Okay.
And at some point, I think we probably better have a prolonged conversation about that. There are some deadlines involved. Let's see,
what you said.
I would think. I was thinking about maybe putting it on the 19th agenda, but I guess we could get the ball rolling. But give us a little time to do some research.
Okay, I will go through that email and look that over good.
We have a registration for it.
Deadline.
No, just to get into it, we can get into it.
Okay.
See it.
Yeah, I joined a Zoom call with NACO yesterday. About that whole program. We are slated to receive $414,800 this year. And the same amount next year.
So I mean, about $1 million.
I believe the deadline to apply for that is January 31st. But it's my opinion, we certainly shouldn't wait. until then.
So it'd be for next year and the following.
No, this year.
Now, January.
There's a 6-month waiver period for Build America, Buy America requirements. They will waive those for any counties that apply for these funds in the first 6 months. It opened October 1st. So I personally feel like if we don't take advantage of this opportunity, we're just cheating ourselves out $836,000.
Right.
So
So I guess if we could put that on the agenda for the 19th and I'll do my
So
homework.
is it gonna be discussion or consideration? Consideration to apply?
Discussion and then
probably,
figure out what we're doing.
we're gonna have to formally have a motion if we're gonna move forward or not, so.
Right. So.
We can put it on as consideration and if that way we're covered if we need to make that, if we
Sounds
make a
good.
decision on it.
Then I lost a certain amount of sleep thinking about if it were up to me, what would I do with $800,000 by help county? And I think that's gonna be question number one as we move forward, if this is what we decide to do. I believe that's all I have, so.
All right. Bring us to attorney items.
Well, I'm the self-appointed attorney to the planning commission now, and so I was there at that meeting yesterday. I like to think I help a little bit here and there, as we go along, but it was a lengthy meeting, actually. They considered 2 short-term rental applications. Dorothy just now said one of the individuals withdrew his application. Then there was a discussion on another issue, which I don't want to go into detail about, but there's something probably coming down the pike on another land use issue that's gonna, fall in Dorothy's lap. In fact, Dorothy needs to go out and do some on-site investigation now, and I offered to go with her if possible, to take a look at some things. I've been reporting on another one that's been going on where I went with Dorothy and Kristen on a really rainy day we had a couple of weeks ago, went out and looked at this property and they walked around and looked at things. And I've been communicating with the attorney representing the property owners. And I sat down and had a visit with Dorothy last week. My decision or recommendation is we don't have enough evidence at this point to take any kind of formal action against the property owners. It's a lot of he said, she said, and we don't really have the evidence to, that they're using the property as a short-term rental or that they're allowing other people to camp on the property without being hooked up to any kind of septic or anything else. So I told the attorney that we weren't going to be taking any action at this time, but as complaints come in, and I'm sure there are going to be more on this one, Dorothy's office is obligated to check into all those complaints. So we probably haven't heard the end of this, but that's where that one stands. And I had reported about 2 weeks ago that there was a lawsuit filed concerning an easement down in the San Isabel area, and JD was named as a defendant in that. And neither JD nor I could figure out why, because they weren't asking for anything from JD. Anyway, I communicated with the attorney who filed the lawsuit. He's agreed to dismiss JD from the case. He doesn't want anything. If in fact they get the relief they're seeking, which is a court order recognizing an easement down in that area, and there's been an easement in existence for a long period of time, but It looks like you're gonna need a declaratory judgment from the district judge here in Custer County recognizing that easement and defining it. And I assured the attorney that, you know, if there is such a judicial decree that's recorded, then JD will obviously correct his records and maps and everything accordingly. So that was satisfactory with the attorney, so it's been taken care of. And I guess that's all I had to report on.
Sure.
I have a question for me, maybe from both you and Dorothy. So Colorado is a right to camp state as well. People can camp without a septic tank. I don't know all the ins and outs of that. I wonder if some research might be warranted, because I know people can camp on their property
Well, the zoning
for a certain amount of
resolution,
time.
the zoning resolution does address that in the lengths of time. I forget the exact amount.
14 days in a 12 calendar year.
Yeah,
12-month calendar year.
and it's very hard to obviously enforce that unless you got a neighbor keeping track of everything. But I know a lot of people obviously do come up here and just camp on their vacant lots.
So
But this is, you know, the issue, the one that we're talking about now, there's a question about whether they're running a business operation that would require an SUP on this property, but they have had crews, people that work for them that have come and stayed on the property in between assignments where they're sent out. And we, you know, it's our feeling, at least based on the way the zoning resolution reads, that they would need to be hooked up to some kind of a septic system, not just.
if they're there longer than 14 days,
In a 12 calendar day, or period, year, 12, within a January to January.
right?
December.
Is it on one address or is it, you just move it 20 feet?
Well, according to our resolution, that's not
Spell.
allowed. That is part of what you're referring to, state regulations, from what I understand. That if say you're camping out at Lake Dewey's, you're there for 14 days, you must leave the state. And then you can come back and do another, you must leave the state for 24 hours, you can come back and camp for another 14 days. That's my understanding, because I did check.
Without being connected to a septic, right? Because
Correct.
if they're in an RV, they don't need a septic tank.
Correct, but I would think that our resolution would override that.
Great question.
Then I need to change our resolution if that's the case.
Yeah, I don't know. I know people consistently have lived on their property while they were building a home here forever. That doesn't make it right. I just know that's been an accepted practice.
And that is very acceptable. They need to come in and permit their RV or fifth wheel, whichever, as a dwelling, and then connect that to a septic system.
If it's connected to a septic system, then kind of all bets are off, right? There's no big concern. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Jim.
The only thing I have is, you all know the growing pains of switching email. I know, everyone looks at me funny. But I have worked in Google Docs and Gmail quite a bit, so if you have questions, don't hesitate, let me know. Because Jordan and Vern may not, with trying to service the whole county, I'm here if you need me. So just let me know.
Certainly been a help to me. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm assuming we need to send out at least 2 people that we're conversing with multiple times. That we need to send our change of email address to them. Because it's only forwards for a certain amount of time. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Our new emails,
Are gonna be forwarding, but I don't know for how long.
so we need to reach out to all those in our contact list.
I had a conversation with Vernon yesterday about it because I was worried about it. And he said the plan is he'll put in a, you know how you have an automatic signature line and with phone numbers up. He's gonna work up a way of including a footnote that says, continue, write this new address down. It will change later. And please change your address book now. And so he said, I'll probably run for a couple, 3 months before it's gonna be a long, it's not gonna be like we're gonna switch in a week and we gotta get everybody on it. But he's gonna come and propose whatever he's thinking tomorrow. I think he'll be ready to been thinking about.
If we just cut the line and switch, then our junk mail would go down.
Yeah, well, I like that idea because I keep getting email from Canada, Custer County Gov telling me to do something. If you got, your own name comes up. And I worry about junking that because I'm worried I'll junk everything that gets sent to me.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it. I have a pretty hefty to-do list, but working on it. So,
Thank you. Public comment, if anyone would like to make a comment at this time on something that's not on our agenda, please feel free to do so at this time. Deb,
Good morning, Kevin. My public comment is about short-term rentals. So should I wait until Dorothy is in the room?
I'm here.
she's here, you may go ahead, I guess.
Okay. So I've been paying attention to the short-term rental issue for over 2 years. Recently, I have witnessed 2 short-term rental permits denied because of the loud buzz of neighbor opinions and objections. The new owner is found to, I don't know what that was.
The computer going berserk.
Okay.
You're still on.
Okay. The new owner is found to be non-compliant by locals before the person even has a chance to get a permit. Why don't we welcome people and give them an opportunity to be a good neighbor before we condemn them for moving here with their dreams of life in the valley? For a county that touts protection of individual freedom, it should be everyone's right, not just folks who have lived here longer, to invest in Custer County real estate. Most short-term rental owners are responsible, respectable, and reliable people who want to take care of their property. They have the same concerns of safety and security as their neighbors. The arguments against are always unfounded objections and pure speculation based on fear. All issues have solutions. The wildfire issue that is always brought up, rightfully so, just don't allow outdoor wood fires at any short-term rental property. Trespassing boundaries, also always brought up, can be solved by clearly defining the boundary, even if it is just a big rock. There are easy ways to naturally define a property without offense. The short-term rental permit should be a fair and balanced decision of personal property rights to allow every owner the opportunity to be a good neighbor and show the best of intentions. Applicants are demonized without just cause. A consideration of a provisional 1-year permit should be considered to issue to every applicant if all requirements are met despite the objections of neighbors. Let them voice their concerns and be so noted. From my observation, owners are willing to bend over backwards to satisfy every concern. A recommendation to not approve should not be based on the opinions of the neighbors of what could happen or because they don't like it. If yesterday's meeting was an example, the Planning Commission is showing favoritism to the loud buzz and ruling on opinion, not fact, especially when an application is 100% complete. With a provisional permit in place, I have no doubt that an owner would be super vigilant to make sure all concerns are addressed. The neighbors then have the time to legally document any infractions that would be held against the short-term rental in renewing the permit license. 3 strikes and you are out. The Planning Commission has painfully tried to work through the details to establish the process with a long list of regulations and best practices that far exceed any other private properties. Short-term rentals are a trend in travel and a way for people to earn income from their real estate investment. Short-term rental owners are a part of the community. They open up their home to welcome visitors, to let them experience what we are all blessed to enjoy on a daily basis. Please consider awarding provisional short-term permits when there are neighbor concerns and show that people truly do have freedom as well as opportunity in Custer County. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. Bill.
Hey, I have a quick question. Debbie, are you on the planning commission?
No, I'm not on the Planning Commission.
So you were just there as a,
She's on the BZA.
you're on the BZA.
I am.
Okay. Did you make this in passion plea with the commission yesterday?
No, I observed everything that was going on. And of course, Cuerno Verde was there in mass. The other concern I have, Bill,
It's okay.
is,
Yeah.
wait, let me finish. The other
ahead.
concern I have is that in the zoning resolution 9.10.3, it does indicate that adjoining neighbor's opinion shall be taken into consideration in the planning commission decision, but Cuerno Verde had more than just neighbors there. So I know that Cuerno Verde has a thing against short-term rentals. And the thing I also want to point out about Cuerno Verde, and I live here, so I know, with over 500 properties, only 1% of properties are rented out. So their concern that it's getting out of control is misguided.
Okay, thanks. The only reason I brought it up is because we had this discussion in our last meeting as a board. And we brought up the same issues that it should be conditionally granted until you're not guilty until proven innocent. We did have
Exactly.
that discussion, and we did decide we're gonna have to do some research or defining or helping the BZA understand, or the planning commission understand that the mass, we don't rule by mass rule, it has to be with some kind of metrics. And that's just something that needs to be done. So anyway, thanks. Just want to make that clear.
I agree with you, Bill.
Okay, good. All right.
Okay, yeah, we are. It's still a work in progress, and I know Dorothy's compiling a list of things that we need to look at moving forward. Changes to the zoning resolution do require a process, so, and I think you're aware of that. But thank you very much. Do we have any other public comment at this time? I'm not seeing anybody's hand up, so. Okay. Staff reports, we did make a change. First up would be Braden.
No, chair, that way we get done.
Yeah.
quicker.
I
did.
That one.
Have to bring your own.
BYOC.
Bring your own chair.
Good, good. How are you all doing?
Good, I feel like I'm about to lose my voice for some reason.
Well, I'll do most of the talking.
Good.
I don't have too much to say. First off, did a bit of a review of our departments, gave Lisa an annual review yesterday. She's been here for a year and 1 month, so I'm a little late on my annual review, but it's hard to believe that it's I'm a year and a half here and she's a year and a month, and it seems like an eternity sometimes, and it seems like just yesterday. So with that being said, I did want to share that I have given Lisa a promotion. Her new title is Assistant Director of Finance and Human Resources. And so she's moved from just an assistant to the department to that assistant director role. And this is really just to more accurately capture what she's already been growing into and starting in that office. She's not just doing calendar appointments and taking notes. She's very much helping make decisions and move things forward. In, payroll and accounts payable almost entirely are done by her at this point, while I'm working on more strategic and things like that. So
that means to me that when you're not here, she can make a decision.
that would suggest such things.
Well, not suggest, but you're gonna let her make a decision.
Well,
if it's required.
Yeah,
Because we need to move out on something and
Yeah.
not wait or try to chase you down. somewhere.
and that was part of this too. Yes, I do trust her to make those decisions or
Or if you're
or
on
not
vacation.
make
then
that
you're gonna-
decision as well.
Okay, all
So
right, and she can decide to wait. I mean,
Yeah.
It's gotta be a decision of some kind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, exactly. So, and we're gonna be more finely tuning our job descriptions with that. That way, it's more clear to everyone that this is what I'm doing, this is what she's doing. And that should help her as well, as far as making sure that any of those decisions that do come up are ones that
That's
she's
good.
can make or can pass on. So.
And nothing more distressing than that. When you're gone, have the door locked and we can't talk about it.
Yeah.
Or the public. can.
Yeah.
So, all right, good.
So she's been a great asset to our department, and
Yes, she is.
very much appreciate that. Next piece, and I managed to forget my box in my office. The audit is finished, and so I have final copies for everyone. I will bring those in after I'm done here, and that's been quite the roller coaster. So we are officially finished. I'm applying the adjustments that they've sent over now, so that way we have accurate numbers for 2021. That leads me to my next item about the budget, which it's running behind schedule. So between the audit taking a longer time and the other things that have come up in the last couple months, I don't believe that we're going to be on a similar schedule as last year, with the change or the caveat of we're using ClearGov for the budgeting software. So I do think it will go more efficiently as I've started to shift my focus from audit to solely budget at this point. There's a couple things that need to be tweaked in that system before we can totally dive into it and start using it. And so I've put out that call and working on that. There was a couple issues with the audit adjustments that I talked with Nancy this morning about, and so I should be able to move forward on getting those adjustments applied. And so at this point, regardless if ClearGov is done with if I talk with ClearGov and we get those things fixed, I do plan to have budget packets in some form to every department by the end of the day, Wednesday. So that way people can start at least thinking about it. If they can't actually use the portal that we have for ClearGov, then they'll at least be able to look at a paper document and fill out, similar to what we did last year. And then hopefully somewhere in the middle of that, be able to move to that ClearGov platform. Even with that piece possibly missing, it will still be an extremely more efficient process going through, especially from the reviewer side. So what I'm going to be able to do is add each of you as a reviewer. You can go in and look at the budget, make comments, different things like that without changing anything. So there wouldn't be an edit access, but there would be a comment access for you all. that timeline, as far as I can see at this point, would be that those budget packets go out by the end of the day tomorrow. Those are returned by next Wednesday. And what we would do is we would go ahead and forego that hearing week at this point.
So let me ask a quick question.
Yeah.
Let's go backwards. So when is the budget due to be approved and turned in?
December 15th, I believe.
So we back off of that December 15th, and then right now you're foregoing next week. So when would you want to get everybody against?
Well, and this, so what this, I'm looking for this process to be like is not hearings for everybody.
Mhm.
It would be specifically for those that have a project or something that's going to be out of what their original budget was. So I guess
Meaning their original budget request or their original budget from last year?
from last year. Yeah, so giving everybody the same budget as this year or within a certain parameter. And I think I don't have enough information at this point to be able to say, yes, I can tell you that based on property taxes, what JD has preliminarily certified as the valuation for the county, that our revenue should go up about $40,000. So that's about the size of that piece of revenue. Otherwise, I don't have a lot of insight into what that looks like or what the personnel side looks like, which is the one that I really want to put some time and energy in to making sure that we are sustainable. You all can help make a decision as to what a cost of living increase should look like if we're able to do that, and so forth.
Well, from my point of view, I would like to see, because you're not gonna have a chance to just take a look at the whole thing with the people.
Mhm.
We should start doing a review mid-year where people stand on how they're spending.
Right.
And, or needing money
Mhm.
request. So since you're not, and I was gonna ask you to include that if we were gonna have quote the hearings,
Mhm.
so that they would come in. And if they're underspending by a bunch, that means we change what we give them at the front of the year if they're not using it. Or we move that money into some other area where we're short right now, or if it's some grant request or whatever, match or whatever. So we need to be able to make deliberate decisions that you make recommendations to us to either agree or not agree to.
Right.
So if you're gonna do that too, I mean, if that's part of this, but if it's just, what if they don't say anything? Are they happy with what they got or they're gonna get next year and so we don't have to do anything? I can't conceive that being really real unless they have some vision. They gotta have a plan to either improve what they're doing to meet their mission or increase things or decrease what they're doing or whatever. They gotta have some, with just you, I mean, it's fine to do it through you and then you make recommendations to us. And we don't want to do your job.
Right.
But we want to be able to agree or not agree that we're moving forward the way that we should. People don't understand that the county budget is about 100% payroll. The tax money that we've got, plus the services that we have to provide,
Mhm.
like the road and bridge and other things. The rest of the stuff that people get used to thinking is part of what they deserve, there are things that we do by gifts or by grants. And so we need to understand the impacts, like if we can't get a grant for housing or a grant or whatever, that you're not going to get that process of completing the strategic vision that each department might have.
Mhm.
So somehow we got to get that so the public sees that we're not just sitting there and things happen around us and we're not using the county's money wisely. We got to be able to show that.
Yeah, and I want to make sure that we have the data that backs all
Right.
that up, because at this point, just like most businesses, personnel is by far the largest cost of that. I'd love to be able to say that the county is 60% of the revenue that comes in goes to personnel costs or overhead or something like that, to get to that point where we can actually break down what those numbers look like. As far as this year, I don't think I had hoped we would this year be able to get to that point where we could do a mid-year review and say, all right, this, you are well below your budget in this area, therefore we're going to reallocate that and do something different. And so being able to have that conversation, I think there will be pieces of that. I guess at this point, my suggestion would be we're still not totally in a place where we can say, all right, right now, we should be at 75% of our budget, both revenue and expenses. So currently our revenue is tracking at 76%. So we're just a little bit over in getting revenue in, and expenses are tracking at 68%. And so we're under on our expenses, which is exactly where we want to be. It's pretty close on revenue.
Projection in what would roll over into next year, or that we'll have to decide whether we're buying CDs or whether we're putting them in the department.
Well, and just like last year, whatever's left is going to just roll back into that fund. And so at this point, no, I don't have a full
Because
on
if we make a
projection.
decision to fund it the same, then we've got, we have to make sure we know that, and we can reallocate it at that point. We just have to have the visibility.
Yeah, and I would suggest that expense line is going to go up because there are departments that are waiting closer to the end to make bigger
We're in a
purchases.
recession too.
So anyway, that's the plan right now. There's just a lot more information that I need to feel more comfortable moving forward. And so the right now, to have a preliminary budget to you all by October 15th, and then also to send out a notice to the paper by October 15th, because those are supposed to happen in tandem. So, and then the conversations would continue to be had as far as setting it out. My hope is no more than one day to actually go through these departments that might have a project or something that's above and beyond whatever we might determine. And I think that's the other piece.
Does that mean you're gonna have a day where you would, in November, where we're gonna take a hard look at what the budget really is that we want?
Right. Yeah. Yep, exactly. Yeah, and I late October, early November would be my thought process there. And the only other thing that I would ask, because I'm still not totally sure on this, is do we want to discuss hard parameters? Do you want me to just take a swing at it? Like, and what I mean by that is, do we want to say to make those determinations, every department gets their budget the same as last year, or every department gets their budget plus 2%, and scrutinizing, where areas where they didn't spend their budget.
Well, you're giving them
Things like
a
that.
chance to give you feedback, and you can say, here's the baseline, you do need less or more. They're all gonna want more. Ask them what it is. That's sort of what you have.
Well, I mean, for you all, like
I know.
some parameters for me to be able to put the budget together, or just within reason, and then we review and I share what
I thought
came
you
up
just
with.
stated up front that you were gonna give them what you had last year and use that to start with.
That's my plan. I'm asking though if you would like to see that done differently.
Yeah, we're in the same boat as you are. It's hard for us to say without having a clear grasp on where we're going to be at revenue side. We know two things. We know our fuel costs are going to be out of control, and we know we need to address our personnel costs.
Right.
Yep.
Programmatic costs, I'd say probably maybe approach it status quo from 2022 budget to 2023, and then look at those two things. A lot of departments aren't going to have extreme fuel costs. A couple of them are. I could easily see just our fuel costs gobbling up any increase in revenue for the county. No problem. So that's the way I'd approach it, or would recommend maybe we approach it is just look at status quo on on their baseline budgets and look at personnel costs. and
And let them comment.
Yeah.
Then give us a chance to, we'll make some option recommendations.
Mhm.
You know, we'll have a pretty good idea of what 1, 2, 3, 4% cost of living increase, what that would end up costing us.
Yeah.
So we can plug those in, but I'm good with that.
Okay.
And then, so we can take the budget hearings off of our calendars, the 11th through the 13th.
Correct.
I hear that correct. That's could be a good thing. Okay. And then you're thinking like the week of the 17th, we would have a proposed budget.
Yeah, that I would go ahead, technically by statute, we're supposed to submit a preliminary budget. I'm supposed to submit a preliminary budget to you all by the 15th. And so I will do that. There will be an email by the 15th that has that preliminary budget. If we want to, if there's any action that needs to be taken, I'm not sure there needs to be. That could be that next week at the mid-month meeting.
So you could provide us via email preliminary budget on like the 14th or 13th is Thursday.
Right.
Or the 15th.
Yeah. Most
Yeah,
likely.
yeah.
And then, yeah, I think my plan would be for the mid-month meeting to have a recommendation on how we move the rest of this forward. All the way through that December deadline.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I would sure like to have this budget thing tightened up by the end of October, very early in November. I'd hate to see us get to the middle of
Yeah.
November, but
Well, and especially to give the public more of a chance to comment on what is most likely the final draft or at least the semi-final draft. And then to have that hearing before December, so that way that budget vote can be finalized and sent to the state. Good. So I apologize if this is where it's at, but
well,
things as they are. So,
it is what it is, kind of situation in it.
yeah. And next year, how many times I've said
Don't make a
that?
promise.
Yeah,
Be careful.
yeah, no, I think just getting more of a handle on it and with this new software, you know, we'll start the budget process early next year. And that'll be, yeah, we can start looking at that mid-year review cycle. And I've got a good timeline that has come from CTSI that I can implement now, and that'll be helpful. It kind of looks at an entire year and what the budget can look like, so budget process.
Got any other fun things for us?
I think that's it. There's a few other things happening. New credit cards are in, but we're working on a process to make sure that works well before we totally unleash it. So Virginia, Kelly, and I will be testing out the credit cards for a little while, and then once we make sure that that's going to work well, we'll make sure everybody has them. But those will be nice because it's got everybody's name, department, tax exempt number, and logo on the card. So
Got any HR things? You are HR. Huh?
I am HR too. Recently, I guess there hasn't really been, I don't want to say this out loud.
Don't say it.
Hasn't been anything. So I've not been as busy in the HR realm recently. So
Good statement.
Yeah.
So there's a requirement to have certain things met by the personnel and HR briefings and up to date on regulations now. Is that going on, or you got plans to do them? Used to have a briefing every year, I think, back in the old days on EO stuff.
Well, I'm not totally sure what
Training.
training and things
Up
like
to
that.
date, where the HR world is at the state level.
Yeah.
Any new requirements.
Well, there's a couple things and one that we're gonna need to discuss here. For example, it's called the Family Program, FAMLI. And we will need to make a decision. You all need to make a decision as a board whether we opt in or out of that before the end of the year. Which in short is a state program where funding goes to forget the number, I think it's 0.9% of a 0.9% of somebody's gross wages gets paid to the state. And then there's a reserve for if somebody has essentially comes down to an FMLA type emergency, they can then submit that to the state in order to get paid for up to 12 weeks off. So from what I can tell, I need to do some more research on this. We can opt out of it as a local government. I know that town of Silver Cliff has, I'm not sure about West Cliff, but
I can tell you that a lot of the counties, from the county attorney chat are opting out of it.
Yeah, they all are, I think.
I think it's based on our discussion in the policy revision committee, we would definitely be leaning towards something in-house if we had to do it. But I think opting out is probably something, and from the way I understand it, if we opt out, the employees still have an opportunity to opt in. Not sure what that looks like administratively, but more information to come on that. That's the main HR thing that I've seen come down the pipeline here recently.
And you're gonna have a staff meeting tomorrow. It's still on schedule or not?
So,
Yeah, I had it from 5 to 5:30.
oh,
What do you call it?
you're right.
Crew
Meetings or staff meeting tomorrow. 5 to 5:30.
Commissioner to be there, and if so, is it me?
No. No, the plan was still to do commissioners joining just once a quarter. Put onto my calendar. Thank you for the reminder. All right.
We'll blame the change over to Google.
Yeah, that works. Anything else?
I have a question. What about the tourism budget? We have a proposal for 2023. So when can tourism present that to the BOCC for approval?
It'll be during that, once I have a chance to review it, Deb will, if it's well over or outside of the realm of what it should be, quote unquote, then we'll have that meeting with the commissioners end of October, early November.
Okay, and tourism is looking at pursuing 3 CTO grants. So right now I'm looking at a budget that is showing Custer County Tourism a budget of $257,000 because of the pursuit of grants. So it's definitely a shift from what we have done in the past. But Colorado Tourism Office is putting out a lot of opportunities, and tourism is going to take advantage of all of them.
Great.
If I may.
Go ahead, sir.
So I would just urge the tourism board, as I'm going to urge the recycling board, to look at what is the cost of those grants to the county. That's going to be the
Matching.
yes, that's going to be the major player. The grant amounts, we're not going to get freaked out about that, but it depends on the cost of the grants.
Also make sure that the mission fits the current mission, like, and I guess that it should, since it's Colorado tourism, but we need to make sure it applies to the county.
Of course, and you do realize that there is really no cost to the county because it is coming out of the tourism fund.
Well, yeah, let me just make an extreme example. You
Sure.
said, let's say that that your budget also includes $200,000 worth of grants, but they're gonna cost you $110,000 to get those grants. I would think the commissioners would probably have something to say about that.
Yeah, well, it's certainly not that high. In a nutshell, the marketing grant, of which we are applying for two, one, a continuation of Colorado stargazing. So it's a $40,000 grant, and tourism would be 20,000 because it's 50%. And then
Well,
there's
yeah, I'm not
so
sure now's the time to go through all that. I just
Right.
wanted to throw that out, that
yeah.
I think as a whole, the county needs to be aware of and on top of the cost of these grants. That's
Sure.
all I'm saying.
Sure, absolutely. So I guess Braden will keep me posted when tourism has an opportunity to present the information.
Yeah, and again, you may not, right? I mean, there's no guarantee. If Braden feels like any department's budget needs to come before the commissioners, then we would schedule that, if I understand the process right.
Yeah.
If Braden feels your budget is within the realms of where we're at, you may never end up coming to the commissioners.
Okay, so Braden, should I send you the proposal that tourism has come up with?
I will send you, I'll be sending every department their something in the next 24 hours. And if you could just respond to that. And if there is something, yeah, just respond to that. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Let me ask one quick question.
Go ahead, sir.
So I think it's important that we understand what the grants are for and the mission. For example, you can get a grant and we have to see, I'll make it up. They want to put a lake in and have canoeing in this part of the tourism draw. Well, that depends on what the county thinks of that and where it would be, how it would be, is the right thing to do, it's gotta meet water, blah, 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 a lot of things. I'm just as an example. And so it has to meet what our vision is for tourism in this county. And, Colorado has a lot of other areas that they focus on, and, big ski areas and other things, and draws on. We got wildlife, we got wilderness areas and that kind of thing. Can you do things on those? We gotta make sure they're consistent with other things, because we're endorsing it. It is Custer County. It's not an independent board that's operating in the vacuum. That's all. Pretty simple.
Yeah, and I'm right now we'll be meeting with Nancy or Sam down in Pueblo sometime this month to go over what a grant process could look like from their perspective, what's needed, because that's one of the major hangups in the audit process is getting that information. Right now, my plan is that there would be some sort of class, and within that, a certification. And if you've not gone through that class and gotten that certification, you're not allowed to get grants. And year to year, that will be looked at. And if it's not followed, then you will lose your certification and have to go through the class again or something along those lines. Because it really has been just a little too loose. We're not sure always what grants are coming in and when. And in order for that to happen, there needs to be a process and make sure that we're all on the same page. And with that being a summary, and what is this accomplishing and what's the cost to the county, being bold letter.
Yeah, if I may, sir, yeah, I agree with Commissioner Kanda. I think how we look at the budgets with relationship to their grants is going to be a reflection on how we approach moving the county forward in relationship to the strategic plan, in relationship to long-term goals and objectives, whatever that is. I've got the general sense that this grant program has been very willy-nilly. I need a grant to survive. I need a grant to stay above water. This opportunity showed up. I need to get that. I get the grants maybe coming out of the thin air that we weren't aware of or whatever, but exactly right. Those grants could help either set the tone or keep us in that willy-nilly kind of a realm, and I just don't want to be there. So I think this is where I agree with Commissioner Cannon. We need to look, does the grant fit what we're trying to do as a county? And what is the cost of that grant? If we think it's exorbitant, then we've got to take a pass on it. That's all there is to it. Now, if I'm ABC department, I want a grant, I'm gonna make a run at you. Doesn't matter how much it's gonna cost. I need this grant. Well, tap the brakes. And you're probably gonna have to do some of this in process as you look at stuff as well. I just think these grants are gonna be a slippery slope to get a hold of as we move forward. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
You bet. Anything else?
For me.
Thank you, sir.
And on that,
Good.
Yep.
Okay.
Just
Possessions,
FYI,
possessions, intent.
9/10 of the
Yeah,
law. or
right.
something
Thank
like
you,
that.
thank you. Okay, that will bring us to planning and zoning.
How are you guys? Morning?
Right as rain. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
You're only an hour late.
I know, I came in early. What happened? I don't have much, just kind of go over the monthly report. We did 12 inspections and site reviews this month. 5 special conferences, meaning we met with individuals in regards to applications or things like that. 8 client compliance inspections, 2 violation reviews. We didn't give out any septic contractor tests this month. Running a little bit low 2022 compared to 2021. Septic permits this month, we were at 14 compared to 17 last year. The dwelling permits are down 3 from last year. Non-dwelling permits were up a little slightly, and total zoning permits were pretty neck and neck, just 1 below last year. Permits issued year to date were down from last year, 118 compared to 129. Dwelling permits were slightly down as well, 94 compared to 107 last year. And then non-dwelling permits were at 167 compared to 183. Bringing us down about 29 from last year, total overall zoning permits. Our revenue, however, is up from last year. We're at 231,573 compared to 229,264 last year. Our septic permit income is down slightly, but that kind of goes along with the number of permits that we've issued. And I'm really happy and pleased to report that we have so far this month collected this year collected $5,453.64 compared to last month. I think we were at $64 or $69.
Wow.
So really excited to see that. We're still trying to remember when someone comes in and does a permit to make sure we go through that with them. The use tax. Yes. Did I say something? Did I say? Oh, okay.
I'm just excited.
Yes, I am too. Very excited. So, Carlin and I are trying to, it's just kind of a reminder, one of us issues a permit and it's you kind of get into this, pattern of how you present things. And we're just trying to make sure we're doing it with everyone, and as well as following up when I go to the closeout, something different. Hadn't been doing that. So We're reviewing with the contractors. We have not made strides in the area of the septic contractors yet, but a lot of them come in from what I've learned and grab a stack full of septic permits and they use them throughout the year. So they're kind of winding down, I would imagine. The septics will wind down as the winter sets in.
The ice
Um,
around gets deeper.
Yeah, I talked to a couple of the contractors and they're planning on doing maybe 3 or 4 yet this year and they're gonna be done, so. We will start educating them, and Carla and I have been talking about sending an email out to them all, letting them know going forward, we're gonna collect the use tax up front. Here's how we'll do that, and just start that education process with them, because it's gonna be different with them opposed to just someone building a home.
Pretty early on, but have you had any feedback on it, that how that's working for them? Going down with the,
I have not. I haven't received any positive feedback and I have not received any negative feedback. So they're all really excited when we talk to them about keeping the money in the county. That's kind of really what we try to focus on when we're talking about it, because it's kind of confusing when you first start bringing it up to them, because they're worried they're going to get double taxed. And so it's just an education process, I think, for all of us. And we'll get good at it. I haven't had a single person come back and say, hey, they wouldn't accept my receipt. So, the state surcharge.
Can I ask you a question
Yes.
real quick about that? Have you talked with Braden about how you're gonna handle this use tax money? If you miss the mark on an estimation up front, are we gonna be in a position to say, we owe you $90, we missed that mark, and where's that money coming from? And have you talked with Braden about a line item in this?
I haven't, and I've kind of looked at how we've done. Okay. In the past, we've never, from what I have been able to figure out, we haven't given a credit,
Right.
we haven't refunded anything.
Right.
So that is a concern. So far, I'll give you an example. I had a gentleman call and say, hey, I'm ready for you to come close out my shed. It's smaller than what I had originally planned. So in the past, what we have done is given a credit for that. So we track that. To me, that's kind of a nightmare. I don't know how we can officially track that. Right now, it's a note in somebody's file. On our permits, it specifically says no refunds. I think that's something we need to
We're
talk
gonna probably
through.
have to change that if we're collecting stuff up front, right?
I understand,
It
yeah.
could be wrong.
Yep,
But even
I
if you
agree.
weren't doing it, if the guy says, I'm gonna build a building with X square footage and it's half the size, we overcharge me.
Yeah.
So you got a refund there. I mean, that's easy because he comes in to close it out, it's 20 feet less.
Right, but the point is, right now, it says right on the application, no refunds available, right? So I would guess that's an internal decision that planning and zoning makes. I don't know.
yeah.
I guess that would be if they decide not to build anything. They're out the permit cost. But it
I
sounds
guess
like
you can
that's
look
how I
at it.
interpreted it.
Yeah, you could look at it both ways. Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
Yeah, I mean, timings has been taken into account in the past. Well, you get an extension, but what if something happens and you don't build at all? Do we just not refund their money? I'm not sure that would be right, you know, if a guy's gonna build his own house and dies of a heart attack, and his wife comes in and wants her money back. Sorry, we don't give refunds. Well,
That's what it says.
And we didn't give a refund, but we did give them a credit. We have had that situation come up since I've been on board.
well,
And it was a situation of a health issue, that the family couldn't proceed with building their homes. So we gave them a credit towards something different.
do you guys have a problem with refunds in situations? I don't, but I'd hate to have to keep track of all these credit things.
Yeah, I would, unless you asterize it, make an asterisk and say unless extenuating certain, but no, the policy is no refunds. On them, if you're gonna build something and you don't, you're out to $200 or whatever it
Yeah.
is. if it's something like we're saying, we're collecting a use tax up front, which we have already stated, that's just an estimate. And if you owe more, they'll pay more. If they don't owe as much, we'll refund it. So that's part of the process too, when they close out that new building or
I agree.
that septic system. So it shouldn't be too hard.
I think it's something I'm gonna need to get with Virginia about, I believe. So,
Yeah, because the use tax is a whole new,
Yeah.
it's a totally different horse.
Never handled it.
But then but then thinking, just sitting there discussing it, comes to mind that she told me that comes through Kelly's office, so maybe it's a Kelly and Virginia and Braden, and we all sit down and kind of figure that out.
You do have to, Tom hit the nail on the head earlier and said, they pay us money for the permit, the use tax. Now, where does it go? Braden's the guy that knows that. And it works with Kevin or with whoever to decide where that pot is. And if the pot's needs to have more money put in it, that's an automatic deal. The guy pays
Yeah.
you more because the permit or the estimate was low. But if it's high, then that has to come out of that same pot, whatever Braden defines.
Yeah, I think
Create a separate fund.
Yeah, I don't believe we have a use tax fund.
Maybe it's a department under you.
And that money may need to stay there
That's what I'm
throughout the
thinking.
year, and then at the end
Till
of the
it's
year,
done.
we address what's there.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I'll
So
talk
does
to him. I'll talk to him about that. Yeah. I guess that's really about all I have. I do want to mention, since it was brought up earlier about the planning commission and how we're going about making the decisions. I do agree that, we are mainly looking based on these last two votes at the feedback from the community. And the other one item that played into the decisions this time with the two that were brought up was the lot size. And I don't know that that's a determinate is listed anywhere as being a factor. I think the neighbors' opinions is a factor, but I don't believe that anywhere in the resolution does it bring up lot size. And that seems to be something that's weighing in on that. The one gentleman I spoke to right before I came in here, he pulled his application. And I do have to say, and we can talk about it tomorrow, because I did put it on the agenda, but him and his wife made an extra effort to make sure that they followed every step along the way. They were new at it. They were very excited, but they also put the brakes on anytime they needed to make sure that they made the right decisions. So I was kind of sad to see him pull his application.
Yeah, we talked about it in our last discussion of that short-term rental, but at a high altitude, man, if somebody does everything we've asked them to do and they still get denied, we got.
That's right.
Mhm.
Okay, we'll talk about it tomorrow. Or
Okay.
you're gonna keep us here.
Lot size is not on the application, is it? Or do we even ask?
Which one?
The short-term rental application, do we even ask what the lot size is?
Yes, we
We
do.
do on the application.
We do. Mhm. But I
It's
don't
not
know
in
if
the
that's
zoning
relevant.
resolution to be considered.
No,
I agree.
not that I was able to find, because that was one of my
It
thoughts.
shouldn't be really, because we
Yeah.
got lost, they're small. Now they can, that's where the neighbors come in.
Yeah.
That's where other issues like noise, whatever,
Mhm.
the criteria that they're supposed to meet. Or the exit, if they can't get out in time, whatever. Criteria.
And we'll see if he shows up tomorrow. He may change his mind, but I'll leave them both on and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Okay, thank you guys.
Appreciate
Good
your
day.
work.
Have a good day.
Keep it up.
Molly G, we must have a new extension officer that's coming in. I guess that's an agent.
Getting glued to the chair for the last hour.
Calling off for you. I guess you're an agent, right?
Director.
We've never been officially informed that CSU hired a director.
Oh, you guys haven't? Oh, I didn't know that.
Not a
Well,
word.
surprise, surprise, here I am.
I saw something in the email.
Asked those guys yesterday about it.
Yeah.
I contacted CSU and I heard.
When
Oh, really?
Yesterday, a guy
Here,
came in to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was her.
Did you get hold of him?
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Well, I don't need any decisions from you and I don't want money. So you guys are gonna be just excited.
Is that the end of your presentation?
When you waited around that long.
That's right. So as you guys know, Caitlin's been out on maternity leave. Great news, she had a baby boy, Wade, he's doing wonderful. Caitlin decided that while she was out, she would go ahead and have an
Party.
appendectomy.
I-
She had a terrible bout with her appendix and had an appendectomy. She is healing well. She will be back in the office part-time, starting on October 24th. In the meantime, she's been busy working remotely from home. Great news, we have 5 4-H clubs and all of our charters were just approved. And she has been working on the Dare to Be You camp, which will be held in Pueblo in the middle of November, the 18th and 19th. So she's been working on that as well. We have our annual banquet coming up on October 16th. All of you and your spouses are invited to attend. Please let me know if you-
12:30.
Sunday at 12:30. So you go to church and you can come at lunch. And please let me know. It's a quick trip for you. Please let me know if you'd like to attend. So we can have a
Keeping
chair
the
for you.
kingdom wine all the time.
Kayla says we can come.
Oh, she's shaking her head over there. She's shaking her
The boss is here. That's right, the lady who knows what's going on. So our 2023 year, 4-H year has begun. Our focus is to recruit some new leaders and get them trained and get them on board. Our number one goal for next year is to increase our membership by at least 15%. So that is going to be.
What's the membership now?
It's about 60. So we need to get that number up. We have plenty of kids in this community. If you go to any events at the school or in town, it's amazing how many little ones are
40,000 kids. in this
running
county.
around. It's
Yeah.
incredible. So we're ready to get them involved in 4-H and grow our program and help them learn a lot about our community and all the wonderful things that they can take part
And
in.
you don't get Wetmore's Club, it goes with Fremont County, doesn't it?
Well, we were just talking about that yesterday. I think that's gonna come to us. So I will let you know the answer to that question, but we were discussing that yesterday. So.
How have they been handled in the past and who were they?
They've been
teaming with?
under Fremont County
Fremont
for as long as I can.
County Club that meets in Wetmore currently.
Oh, they go by the name of Wetmore Wizards.
Wetmore Wizards is a great name.
So I always just assumed it was a Wetmore Club, which you say it.
Yeah, I think historically it's been a Fremont club.
Perhaps it'll remain that way.
My granddaughter's in it, so you think I know. Based on that, I believe it is Fremont County. It'd be nice to have those yahoos on our roll.
It would be super
But
helpful.
Problem
too.
is,
You
not
gotta
all these
drive
kids
up.
live in Custer County, that's why.
Yeah, it's a mixed bunch. Part of them do live in Custer County, part of them in Fremont County, so.
That's okay. They don't.
Good.
Yeah,
Do you
let
have
us know.
any, I'm sorry.
Let us know.
Okay. Do you guys have any questions of me?
Shooting sports in one of your clubs,
Yes.
so
we do
that's
have
in one of
shooting
your
sports.
charter. I know you do, but
We do.
you said 5 charters. I just wondered.
We have 5 groups, 5 different 4-H clubs, and then there are
So there was-
tons of programs.
in each one of them are same maybe programs that are they.
In each club,
Okay.
the kids can do any
Well, that's what I thought.
project they
Okay,
want. They can do
good.
livestock or not, although our
Okay, I
groups do tend to be,
Project oriented.
yeah, project oriented. We do have some clubs that have, more livestock kids than
Livestock or
others.
it's
Yeah.
other hobbies. stuff
Right.
or sure.
Right, other projects.
Cool.
So I heard echoes around the building yesterday somewhere about extension CTF money.
Yes.
Did we get that cleared up?
She's, yes, I've given, let me back up.
Jennifer gave me all the paperwork and information that I need to
Okay.
make me aware, and now it's just looking at it and figuring out how we can implement it and use it for.
And the
So,
twenty twenty-two CTF money
That's right.
has been
okay,
returned.
that's really
It
what
has
I was
been
talking
credited
about.
to the account
Okay.
and has been documented.
So he wrote that check.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep,
And you're
everything is all
getting
done.
check writing capability, I assume.
The other thing is I visited with Reggie because I'm gonna pull the ARPA application. From what I understood from Dorothy, that the extension office may have been given, we dog-eared some money for the extension office with ARPA money. But I don't know. That was what Dorothy thought.
Oh.
I don't know that.
You're like, I'm like, oh
So
no.
anyway.
It could be. but
I'm
I should
gonna,
have-
that's on one of my to-do lists for her, to be able to go through what we have and then also submit, if, as long as I have it already approved, then I will submit for that to be paid, in the next check round,
Yeah, and
So-
thank you. My question was directed at that.
the refund.
Was it 3,000,
It was 2,500.
2,500?
Yep, and it's already been returned. We found all of our issues with CTF.
Good.
Yep, so right now it's just figuring out kind of the gaps from the last, since whenever left in May and then planning the way ahead.
I think I saw something that said you were just coming up for air or something. So, you've got color in your face, so I guess you
Yeah,
can do it.
I guess that's right. That's exactly right. Okay. All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Mhm. Thanks for waiting for us.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
You waited a long time. to do that.
I can.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks, Reggie.
You know, you got this position.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yes, congrats. Thanks.
Garrett's not out there, is he, by chance?
Haven't seen him.
Probably need to do a press release about it.
Yeah, I was going to. It's on my to-do list as well. So do I need to do anything with the two departments that are not here with their reports to make them part of the record, or?
We can go back and look at the road and bridge and the,
Bridges.
veterans reports, because we have to act on the veterans anyway.
Uh-huh.
If you guys want to pull up your
You
road
did
and
send it.
bridge.
And it was, yeah.
Find it.
Well, I haven't gotten there yet.
I found it. Cute little deal. If we just opened up the first one, you've got arrows at either side of your page. You can toggle right through all of the attached documents.
You,
Yeah. Pat me on the back.
And you're wanting to do road and bridge next?
I thought we would, and then, just in case Jared was gonna show up and we can do his last here. All right, I can just run through this real quick. Vince sends his apologies. He is dealing with, an eye surgery, I believe, so,
Dealing with what?
an eye surgery.
Oh. I was thinking icy road, sorry.
No, not unless he got up also high on the mountain there. So you can see, they're different road. They did, maintenance on the grading. They're still working on getting a lot of the culverts cleaned. Some of that's been by the wayside for quite a while. And then they were doing their blade patches, and as Bill brought forward earlier, we did get an email on the one in Greenwood. I did drive that road before we got that email, and I drove it again afterwards, and I think it was a pretty decent job. A few spots where some material did pull out. If a lot of that will smooth up here as soon as they go to plowing on it. And if it doesn't, they can always drop a couple bags of patch in a hole or two where some of that material came out. But I think overall that patch, I haven't been up here to look at.
Looks good.
You guys have been up here.
Primarily on school.
I would say that patch job down there doesn't look bad. When you guys were driving through, drop down through Greenwood, and you can look at it. They also did all the shoulders over in TV Hills and Trinity. So I'd encourage you to drive those roads, to take a look at them. And then he's got their plans coming up. Kettle. All the work they're gonna do on there.
Yeah, we started yesterday.
And
Yeah,
they're
tore up
working,
right now, but it'd be nice when they get it done.
and they're working on County Road 320. We did have, county folks come in on that. They were getting ready to ship, and that upper end hadn't been taken care of yet, so they have, one, maybe two graders up there as we speak, getting that road in shape.
Was it 320?
It's up past, it's up off the airport off of,
I can't remember.
I want to say the name of the road now, but it's slipped my mind.
Is it going to that subdivision to the north or not?
Justin, it goes right past Justin Pearl. I'm trying to think now.
Okay.
That's why I commented to him when they were in here the other day, but, I want to look at that one.
Well, I think we're a victim of circumstance with these asphalt patching. I mean, people are getting used to driving on 167 north of Wetmore, between Wetmore and Florence. That's a pretty nice road.
Yeah.
You can drive across the piece that the county's patching it.
So, and, I would speak a little to some of that as well. Vince has indicated in some of his conversations with me that he is looking at a couple of used laydown machines that can be used for some of this on some of our roads, that he might try to put in his budget for next year. No brand new Bearcats or anything like that, but he thinks there's some pretty decent used machines, smaller used machines that they can use in some of these situations where they're needing to do big patches, they can actually use that, and they will come out better. Because there are issues when you do blade patches.
Right. Yeah, I was really upon Schoolfield, was pleased that they had a roller up there and wasn't counting on the taxpayers of this county to roll that asphalt in with their private vehicles. So that was nice.
Yeah. And I think he highlighted a couple of lines on his budget sheets that he put in. Where I think one of those is fuel. And those are scanned in sideways. I'm not seeing where to roll them at this time.
Yeah, I don't know either. Much we can.
But then you can see the consumption. I think that's also a fuel consumption chart. When you get down to the bar graph, you can see road and bridges.
Yeah.
If they're about a little over 11,000 gallons. I think he's wanting to let us know that he is going to be over in his fuel budget.
What he said.
His sheriff's department's up to right at 2,500 gallons. So I think those are probably the two departments you were referring to earlier.
Correct.
So. Well, if you guys have any questions, I could try to address them.
No, I'm good.
Good. Bill?
No, I'm good.
Okay, I guess that would take us down to the only one we have left then would be the Veterans Service Office report.
Yeah, he come in yesterday, Jared did, and asked for a little leeway here. He's on a big project that they've been trying to get scheduled with a veteran on replacing a roof, and today was the only day they could meet with that contractor, so I said, not an issue, we can look at your report if we have it, and if you get back in time, it's fine too.
I move we accept his report and present it to us in writing. September report.
Second that. Any discussion on that?
Oh, I have it here, there it is. And we have a hard copy.
You got one, don't you?
I am going to receive instruction on how to electronically sign this.
Okay.
It's on there,
Yeah.
electronic.
I can show them how to electronically. sign.
Yeah.
I received that word earlier. Thank you.
I went through it yesterday with Jordan. So hopefully Jennifer will move her cursor slower than Jordan does.
You go, do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you know what
So
you're
you're
doing,
gonna
it's easy to go.
electronically sign it and send it back to him.
Yes. And then, yeah, to him, and I think Kelly gets a
Kelly.
copy too. So
Uh-huh.
I'm sure I will be shown how to do that.
Yep,
We keep messing around, we might get into the 20th century.
We don't want to be, we don't want to go all hog and, yeah.
yeah, I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah. Mhm.
All right, those in favor of accepting the Veterans Service Officer report for the month of September, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Do we have any unfinished business?
None from me.
None that I'm aware of.
And new business?
I can't believe we got through this meeting without getting any new business, but no, sir.
Any additional items? of
Oh, no, we
business?
got lots of that.
All right. Brings us back to public comment then. If anybody has anything they'd like to say, feel free to do so at this time. Nothing in the room. I'm not seeing a hand online. That being the case, I will adjourn this meeting at 10:51 a.m. Thank you all.
Got through it without a bathroom break. That's pretty intense.